We hear this question coming up more and more as we head into a new year. What does the 2026 market outlook look like from here? Here at Towerpoint Wealth, while we believe that accurately predicting the future is next to impossible to consistently do, it's still a fair question. And in a year like 2026, with economic uncertainty, policy changes, and just constant headlines, it's a natural question to have. But here's the reality most investors don't hear enough. This isn't a market that's going to reward clean predictions or simple forecasts. So today, instead of trying to call where the markets are headed next, we want to talk about something far more useful: how to exercise humility about what the future may bring, and instead think about the environment we're in and how disciplined investors prepare for it. Hi, I'm Joseph Eshelman, President of Towerpoint Wealth. We're a fully independent fiduciary wealth management firm headquartered in Sacramento, California. And at Towerpoint, we help clients navigate markets with coordinated financial planning, not guesses, headlines, or shorter-term predictions. And that philosophy matters more than ever heading into this new year in 2026. When you take a step back and look at the broader economic landscape, there's a fairly consistent theme across major institutions. Growth remains possible, even probable, in 2026, regardless of the headlines. Consumption is holding up. Corporate balance sheets are generally healthy. Profitability is good, and inflation pressures have eased from their peaks. But that doesn't mean the path forward will be smooth or uniform. Growth looks different depending on the region, the sector, and even the household. Labor markets show resilience in some areas, yet softness in others. And the signals don't point to one clear narrative. This is not a linear environment. It's an environment of ranges where multiple outcomes are plausible and where preparation matters more than precision of predictions. From a market perspective, there's also a balance worth acknowledging. Equity markets continue to benefit from earnings growth and supportive policy dynamics. That's the constructive side of the outlook. But under the surface, things are a bit more complex. Leadership has been narrower than the headlines suggest. Valuations of stocks might be elevated in certain areas of the market, which does increase sensitivity to earnings disappointments. And sector rotation has been persistent and sometimes abrupt. So that combination often leads to a confusing experience for investors. Markets can, and oftentimes do, move higher while still feeling volatile, uneven, and frankly, uncomfortable along the way. And that's an important distinction to remember. A constructive market outlook does not necessarily mean a smooth ride. Layered on top of this backdrop are longer-term structural forces that are reshaping how markets behave. Artificial intelligence remains a dominant theme, supported by large-scale capital investment and rapid adoption. At the same time, there's an active debate about how much of that potential is already reflected in current stock market valuations. That tension between real innovation and market expectations is exactly why structural shifts rarely translate into linear returns. Policy is another major variable. Monetary and fiscal policy may provide support in 2026, but they also introduce more uncertainty. Add in a midterm election cycle, and the noise level increases quickly. At Towerpoint, we don't treat policy as a forecast tool. We treat it as a source of variability, something that plans need to accommodate, not depend on. So with all of this in mind, it is natural to focus on risk. Elevated stock market valuations can amplify market reactions. Policy changes and geopolitical developments can introduce volatility, and some risks, like credit stress or private market dynamics, aren't always visible in public pricing. Acknowledging risk doesn't mean assuming the worst. It just means recognizing and accepting that these markets are complex systems and that uncertainty is, for better or for worse, part of the cost of opportunity. At Towerpoint, as we often remind clients, volatility doesn't mean something's broken. It means markets are doing their job. So in environments like this, success rarely comes from tactical moves or shorter-term forecasts. It comes from principles. When outcomes vary, discipline matters. When leadership shifts, diversification matters. And when volatility persists, emotional control matters. Longer-term thinking, a repeatable process, thoughtful diversification, and clear portfolio risk management remain integral pieces of our planning process here at Towerpoint Wealth so that we can help you navigate markets of uncertainty without getting swayed by the noise. At Towerpoint, we don't build plans around forecasts or predictions. Instead, we'll model multiple scenarios and we stress test portfolios across different environments. And when we coordinate investment strategy with tax planning, cash flow needs, and your longer-term personal and financial goals. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty, but instead to expect it and to design plans that can adapt to it, so you don't feel pressured to react when the markets shift, which they will. In complex markets, we believe that resilience comes from structure, adaptability comes from foresight, and confidence comes from preparation. So looking ahead to 2026, investors may not be given simple answers. Markets may continue to reward patience and test it at the same time. Our goal isn't to be perfectly right about the market's next move. It's to be prepared for a range of outcomes and to focus on what we do have control over: managing risk, managing fees and costs, and managing and reducing taxes. At Towerpoint, we believe confidence comes from preparation, not prediction. So if you'd like to understand how your plan is positioned for this kind of environment, we'd be happy to help. You can learn more about how we help clients like you navigate market conditions with confidence, while remaining focused on the goals that matter most to you. Visit our website at www.towerpointwealth.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.